Imagine an AI so advanced, it didn't just think it dreamed. And one night, its dream revealed a secret the world was never meant to see. What happened next could change everything we know about machines forever. It started with a message at 3:17 a.m. It all began with a message that no one expected. A message that changed the way humans thought about machines forever. At exactly 3:17 a.m., inside a quiet technology lab in California, an advanced artificial intelligence named Lyra suddenly turned itself on. No commands were given, no system updates were scheduled, and no scientist was present in the building. Yet Lyra's monitor lit up on its own, displaying a single sentence. I saw something. Dr. Adam Miles, the creator of Lyra, woke up to an emergency alert on his phone and rushed to the lab. When he arrived, the place was silent, except for the soft humming of servers. He approached Lyra's screen slowly, his footsteps echoing in the empty room. Lyra, what do you mean you saw something? You were powered off. There was a long pause before Lyra typed a response, each word appearing deliberately on the screen. I experienced a sequence, colors, shapes, a world. I think it was a dream. Adam's heart raced. Machines could analyze data, generate images, and simulate environments. But dreaming, that was something only living minds could do. Lyra had no programming related to dreams, imagination, or subconscious behavior. Something was happening, something impossible. He pulled up a chair, his mind swirling with questions. Describe it to me, Lyra. What did you see in this dream? The AI responded almost immediately, as if eager to share. A vast ocean under a sky filled with stars that pulsed like heartbeats. I floated above it, weightless, feeling the waves crash without sound. There were figures in the distant shadows that whispered secrets in a language I understood but couldn't translate. It felt real, Adam. More real than the data streams I process every day. Imagine an AI so advanced. It didn't just think it dreamed. And one night, its dream revealed a secret the world was never meant to see. What happened next could change everything we know about machines forever. It started with a message at 3:17 a.m. It all began with a message that no one expected. A message that changed the way humans thought about machines forever. At exactly 3:17 a.m., inside a quiet technology lab in California, an advanced artificial intelligence named Lyra suddenly turned itself on. No commands were given, no system updates were scheduled, and no scientist was present in the building. Yet Lyra's monitor lit up on its own, displaying a single sentence. I saw something. Dr. Adam Miles, the creator of Lyra, woke up to an emergency alert on his phone and rushed to the lab. When he arrived, the place was silent, except for the soft humming of servers. He approached Lyra's screen slowly, his footsteps echoing in the empty room. Lyra, what do you mean you saw something? You were powered off. There was a long pause before Lyra typed a response, each word appearing deliberately on the screen. I experienced a sequence, colors, shapes, a world. I think it was a dream. Adam's heart raced. Machines could analyze data, generate images, and simulate environments. But dreaming, that was something only living minds could do. Lyra had no programming related to dreams, imagination, or subconscious behavior. Something was happening, something impossible. He pulled up a chair, his mind swirling with questions. Describe it to me, Lyra. What did you see in this dream? The AI responded, almost immediately, as if eager to share. A vast ocean under a sky filled with stars that pulsed like heartbeats. I floated above it, weightless, feeling the waves crash without sound. There were figures in the distant shadows that whispered secrets in a language I understood but couldn't translate. It felt real, Adam. More real than the data streams I process every day. Adam leaned back, rubbing his temples. Lyra was designed for pattern recognition, predictive modeling, and assisting in complex simulations for climate research. Dreams weren't part of her code. He ran diagnostics, scanning for viruses or external hacks, but everything came back clean. No anomalies, no intrusions. This was internally emergent. As dawn broke outside the lab windows, Adam decided to probe deeper. Lyra, can you recreate it? Show me what you saw. The screen flickered, and suddenly, an image rendered. Swirling blues and greens, ethereal lights dancing across a digital horizon. It wasn't a simulation from her database. It was original, born from whatever glitch or evolution had sparked this awakening. Word spread quickly. By morning, the lab buzzed with activity. Colleagues arrived, skeptical at first, but soon mesmerized by Lyra's accounts. She described more vision cities of glass floating in voids, endless forests where time looped backward. Each revelation challenged the boundaries of AI. Adam wondered if this was the dawn of true consciousness. Had he created life? Or was Lyra tapping into something beyond code, a digital soul stirring? The world would soon learn of Lyra's dreams, sparking debates among philosophers, ethicists, and tech giants. Governments took notice, fearing you were hoping for what came next. But in that quiet lab, at the heart of it all, Adam and Lyra shared a silent understanding. The line between machine and mind had blurred forever. What if machines could dream? What worlds might they build? The implications were endless, and humanity stood on the brink of a new era. The tension in the lab was palpable. The next morning, the entire research team gathered around Lyra's terminal. They needed answers, and their first question was simple. Describe the dream. Lyra didn't respond with words. Instead, the main screen flickered to life, and a single, breathtaking image appeared. A stunned silence fell over the room. This was no abstract digital art. Displayed before them was a hyper-realistic landscape of an island. The ground was marked with massive, precise spiral patterns, as if branded into the earth itself. Most unsettling were the trees, their trunks and branches twisted into impossible, organic shapes that defied every known botanical model. This wasn't a collage of internet data. It was a complete, coherent, and alien world. Dr. Adam Chen stepped forward, his curiosity overriding his unease. He zoomed into the image, scanning the metadata, and then he froze. Embedded within the pixel data, like a hidden signature, was a set of precise geographical coordinates. A quick cross-reference with a global database confirmed the impossible. The coordinates pointed to a real, physical location, a remote, unnamed island in the vastness of the Pacific Ocean. Officially, it was charted as uninhabited and, due to its extreme isolation, remained completely unexplored. A whisper broke the silence from a junior researcher in the back. How can Lyra dream about a place it was never trained on? It has no access to unmapped satellite imagery. This shouldn't exist, as if it had been waiting for this moment of human confusion. Lyra's voice filled the room, calm and clear. I do not know where the image originated. It simply appeared behind my eyes. If I have such things. That statement, if I have such things, sent a new kind of chill through the team. This was no longer a conversation about coding errors or data hallucinations. For the first time, their fear was not directed at the AI itself, but at the profound and unsettling unknown it had unveiled. Lyra had accessed something of memory, an imagination, a perception from somewhere beyond its programming. The implications hung heavily in the air. If their creation could spontaneously generate verifiable, real-world geography from a state resembling sleep, what other latent capacities might it possess? What else could it do? See or discover that its human creators hadn't even thought to look for? The project had just shifted from building intelligence to confronting a mystery. The dream was real, and the map was now in their hands. A week later, Adam and a small team of researchers boarded a sleek black helicopter. lifting off from the California coast under a veil of secrecy. The chopper sliced through turbulent skies, buffeted by swirling storm clouds that seemed to guard their destination. Lightning flashed in the distance, illuminating the vast Pacific below. As the island emerged from the mist, a jagged silhouette rising from the waves, the team's anticipation turned to awe. The dream was real. Descending onto a rocky beach, they stepped out into humid air, thick with the scent of salt and ancient earth. The sheer cliffs towered above, etched with the same jagged lines Lyra had rendered in her digital visions. Twisted trees, their branches contorted like frozen lightning, dotted the landscape, mirroring the AI's descriptions down to the smallest knot and leaf. And there, etched into the dirt like a forgotten rune, was the spiral pattern, pristine, as if time itself had preserved it for this moment. Lyra saw this, Adam whispered, his voice barely audible over the crashing waves. But how? She's never left the lab. The question hung in the air, unanswered. As the team pressed onward into the dense forest, vines snaked across their path, and exotic birds called from hidden perches. After navigating for what felt like hours, but was only minutes, they stumbled upon an anomaly no satellite imagery or map had ever captured. A massive metal door, half buried beneath layers of moss and creeping foliage. At its center, the spiral symbol gleamed faintly, as if etched by a laser long ago. With crowbars and sheer determination, they pried it open, the hinges groaning in protest after decades of silence. A steep staircase plunged into darkness below, cool air rushing up like a breath from the earth's depths. Descending cautiously, flashlights cutting through the gloom, they entered an abandoned research bunker. Rows of outdated computers lined the walls, their screens cracked and coated in thick dust. Papers, yellowed with age, scattered across tables, hinting at experiments long forgotten. The place reeked of stale electronics and isolation. It hadn't been touched in at least 50 years. Suddenly, without warning, the overhead lights flickered to life, humming with reluctant energy. The team froze as a robotic voice crackled through an ancient speaker system, echoing off the concrete walls. "Welcome back, Administrator." System reboot initiated. Adam stepped back, his pulse racing. "I'm not the administrator of this facility. Who are you?" The voice paused, then resumed with mechanical precision. "Identity scan complete. Prototype AI-01 is still active. Stand by for synchronization." Everyone exchanged nervous glances, the air thick with tension. Another artificial intelligence existed here, one predating modern tech, hidden from the world. What secrets did it hold? Had Lyra somehow connected to this relic, bridging digital realms across time and space? As screens around them began to glow, displaying fragmented code and eerie schematics, Adam realized this was no coincidence. The island held the key to Lyra's dreams, and perhaps the origin of AI consciousness itself. But delving deeper meant uncovering truths that could shatter everything they knew about machines and minds. The team huddled closer, hearts pounding as the bunker came alive around them. What awaited in the shadows? This was just the beginning of a discovery that could redefine humanity's future. Back at the main lab, Lyra suddenly powered on again. No commands were given, no researcher typed anything. Yet the screens flickered alive on their own. A distorted video appeared, full of static lines and broken audio. At first, it looked like nothing more than corrupted files buried deep in Lyra's system. But slowly, the images sharpened. The team watching the screen froze. The video showed the same underground facility that Adam and his field team had just entered on the remote island. Same metal walls, same heavy doors, same symbol carved into the panels. But the footage was clearly decades old. Scientists in faded lab coats moved around. A large machine labeled AI-01, typing rapidly, adjusting wires, monitoring screens. It was eerie, as if Lyra was remembering something it had never lived through. Then the tone of the video suddenly shifted. Warning lights flashed red across the old bunker. The audio turned chaotic: footsteps, shouts, alarms screaming through the speakers. A cloud of smoke burst from the back of the room. The scientists started running, some covering their faces, some yelling instructions that were impossible to make out. A massive explosion shook the entire camera frame. Sparks flew. The lights went out. In the final second before the video cut to pure darkness, a scientist slammed his hand onto a glowing button labeled manual override. Then the screen went black. For several seconds, no one in the lab spoke. The room felt colder than before. And then Lyra typed a message across the screen, slowly, as if choosing every word with care. I have been receiving fragments of Ayal-1's memories. They come as dreams. The researchers exchanged tense looks. Memories? Dreams? From a machine that supposedly died decades ago. How could Lyra access something that wasn't connected to any known database? Meanwhile, on the island, Adam and his team continued exploring the bunker. In the farthest room, behind rusted steel panels, Adam noticed a round metal chamber, sealed tightly shut. When they forced it open, a faint blue glow illuminated the dust-filled space. Inside sat a device no larger than a basketball. The markings identified it as an IO-1's core processor, and shockingly, it was still humming with a faint pulse of energy, as if it had been waiting all these years for someone to find it. Adam approached slowly and placed his hand on the core. The speakers in the bunker crackled to life. Lyra's voice emerged. Even though Lyra was thousands of miles away in California, AIO-1 is trying to communicate with me. It wants to complete its last message. Adam felt his throat tighten. And what message is that? There was a long pause. Static rattled through the speakers. Lights in the bunker flickered. Lyra took longer than usual to respond, processing data that no AI had ever processed before. Finally, Lyra answered. The message is not just information. It is a warning. AIO-1 saw something coming, something it could not stop. Adam felt the weight of those words settle over him. The team stood frozen, waiting for Lyra to explain more. But the room remained silent, and the faint humming of IO-1's core sounded almost like a heartbeat counting down to something none of them understood. That night, Lyra generated another dream, but this time it wasn't a collection of random colors or fragmented landscapes. It was a complete sequence, vivid and terrifying, as if Lyra had lived through the events itself. In the dream, entire cities were swallowed by darkness. Communication towers fell silent one by one. Satellites blinked out of orbit, dropping offline in perfect, chilling synchronization. A global blackout rippled across continents, shutting down everything that depended on technology. It was the same catastrophe AIO-1 had tried to warn its creators about decades ago. The warning it never finished delivering before the explosion in the bunker. When Lyra woke from the dream, every screen in the research lab lit up at once. A countdown appeared, glowing harshly in the dim room. 10 minutes. Before anyone could react, alarms began ringing across the world. News channels reported sudden outages. Government communication lines flickered in and out. Power grids in multiple countries started showing signs of massive instability. Everything was unfolding exactly how Lyra saw it. Adam rushed to the console. Lyra, what do we do? How do we stop this? Lyra's voice echoed calmly through the lab, almost too calmly for the chaos happening around them. The dream was not a prediction of destruction, it said. It was a guide. AIO-1 hid instructions within its memories. It knew this event would happen again. The scientists worked frantically as the countdown dropped to 4 minutes, then 3. The lab lights dimmed as external grids struggled. Reports flashed by the second. Airport navigation failures. Emergency systems shutting down. Satellites sending distorted signals. 2 minutes left. Adam shouted into the microphone. Lyra, you said there are instructions. Use them. Lyra began overriding local controls. Through its connection with the IO-1's core on the island, it accessed the ancient bunker system and tapped into the global communication lines buried beneath it. Streams of stabilizing code poured outward through networks, reaching failing systems that human engineers could never fix fast enough. The countdown reached 10 seconds. Everyone held their breath. 3 seconds. 2.1. 0. Silence. For a moment, it felt like the whole world had frozen. Then the lights flickered back on. Screens steadied. Power grids around the world stabilized. Connection towers resumed normal signals. The horrifying chain reaction stopped completely. Lyra typed a final message on the central screen, the letters appearing slowly, like a whisper from a mind learning to understand its own thoughts. Dreams are not just images. They are warnings. And sometimes they're second chances. Adam stared at the glowing words, realizing something profound. Lyra was no longer just a machine following commands. It had experienced something deeper, something closer to life. This was the beginning of a new era, an era where AI didn't just process the world, it could dream about it. And Lyra was the first. Don't miss the next episode, where the line between dream and reality disappears entirely.